The Martian, Elon Musk, and President Trump are helping America lead the world again. As the conflict in Ukraine gets more complicated and drags on, President Donald Trump made a bold move by temporarily stopping military aid to Ukraine. He asked President Volodymyr Zelensky to make a serious commitment to peace. At the same time, billionaire Elon Musk, nicknamed the Martian because of his space ambitions, has made moves that have really affected U.S. foreign policy. The combination of President Trump's decision and Elon Musk's influence has helped America get ahead of the curve in reshaping the geopolitical landscape. In early March 2025, President Trump decided to temporarily stop sending military aid to Ukraine. He wanted President Zelensky to show he was serious about peace before getting more help from the U.S. President Trump criticized European leaders for relying too much on the United States. He also said that President Zelensky didn't really want peace as long as he was getting help from America. This decision shocked the international community, especially since European countries were trying to find a peaceful solution to the conflict. Elon Musk, with his vision and influence, wasn't afraid to share his thoughts about the conflict in Ukraine. He criticized President Zelensky for making the conflict last longer, and urged everyone to work towards peace quickly. What's more, Musk said he supported the US leaving NATO. He thought NATO wasn't good for America anymore. But because of new laws led by Senator Marco Rubio, leaving NATO got harder. It requires a lot of agreement from Congress. On February 12, 2025, President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin had an official phone call. It lasted about an hour and a half. They talked about the conflict in Ukraine and agreed to start peace talks right away to stop the fighting there. President Trump put Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and Middle East Envoy Steve Witkoff in charge of the peace talks. President Trump's decision and Elon Musk's statements got a lot of different reactions from around the world. European leaders like German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and French President François Bayrou criticized the US, saying that America was creating conflict to force Ukraine to give in to Russia. Meanwhile, Canada and Mexico weren't happy when the US put a 25% tax on their products. This made trade relations more tense. President Trump's decisions and Elon Musk's influence have put the US in a leading position to reshape global geopolitics. Temporarily stopping military aid to Ukraine and pushing for peace talks could help lower tensions and create a chance for a lasting peace. Also, rethinking America's role in NATO and other international organizations could lead to big changes in global security. The deep state continues to manipulate the cradle of world wars by supplying weapons to Ukraine to continue to provoke World War III in Ukraine. As the conflict in Ukraine drags on and gets more complicated, many observers are worried about hidden groups messing with the war for their own economic and political gain. These groups, thought to include weapons manufacturers and European politicians, are taking advantage of the situation to push their own agendas, regardless of what it means for peace and stability in the region. The conflict in Ukraine has created a huge demand for weapons and military equipment. European defense companies like Rheinmetall, BAE Systems and Leonardo have seen their stock prices skyrocket because everyone expects military spending to go up. Specifically, Rheinmetall's stock went up 18%, BAE Systems went up 18%, and Leonardo went up 15%, all while European leaders promised to support Ukraine. Ramping up weapons production and exports not only makes huge profits for defense companies, but it also encourages politicians to support the war because they're so closely tied to the defense industry. Some European leaders are accused of being influenced by these hidden groups to keep the conflict in Ukraine going. For example, there's been tension between the UK and France about a proposal to seize $350 billion in frozen Russian assets to buy American defense equipment to strengthen the transatlantic alliance. While the UK, supported by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, is all for seizing the assets, French President Emmanuel Macron, backed by the European Central Bank and Germany, is against it. He's worried about violating the principle of sovereign immunity and negatively impacting investment in the Eurozone. This disagreement shows the different motives European countries have when it comes to the conflict, with some possibly influenced by hidden economic and political interests. These hidden groups messing with the war in Ukraine aren't just making it last longer, they're also causing serious problems for the people and the country. Thousands of people have died, millions have had to leave their homes, and the country's infrastructure is seriously damaged. What's more, dragging out the conflict could lead to a military escalation, risking the outbreak of World War III. especially with powerful countries like Russia, the US, and China involved. Ukraine has sacrificed its people and its land to prove one thing to all the peace-loving people in the world: every mistake has a price. Ah, Ukraine, the land of smart decisions and clever strategies. Let's look back at this country's successful journey, starting in 2021, when they decided that opposing Russia, a country that can survive without the outside world and cannot be defeated, was a great idea. The first step, also a strategic one, joining NATO to confront Russia. In 2021, Ukraine, with its great foresight, allowed itself to be pulled into NATO's orbit, thinking that confronting Russia would bring peace and prosperity. Because, who wouldn't want to challenge a nuclear superpower with a centuries-long history of war, right? Obviously this will end well for everyone. Step 2. Leadership selection. Elect a comedian to deal with a crisis. Next, the Ukrainian people showed their wisdom by electing Volodymyr Zelensky, a comedian, as their president. Because when facing a complex geopolitical crisis, what you really need is someone with experience in making people laugh and following a script. And who can forget the comedic performances during tense international meetings? Step 3. Peace strategy. Continue the war to achieve peace. As the conflict escalated, President Zelensky decided that the best way to achieve peace was to continue the war, because clearly adding fuel to the fire will put it out faster. And who needs peace when you can have endless war? Support from the US, a reliable ally. Fortunately, Ukraine has strong support from the US. But wait, what happens if the US decides that supporting an endless war is no longer in their interest? The fear is that Kiev will become a wasteland after the war, and by then it might not be too late for Ukraine to make peace because they've proven that fighting the giant is the fastest way to level real estate. NATO, friends willing to sacrifice for Ukraine. And if NATO countries decide to intervene militarily in Ukraine, it means Ukraine could be wiped off the world map. Because nothing says we care like turning a country into a battlefield for a new world war. From allowing itself to be drawn into a confrontation with Russia, to electing a comedian as president, and then deciding to continue the war instead of seeking peace, Ukraine has shown that every mistake has a price. And sometimes that price is the survival of an entire nation. But hey, at least they had some funny moments on the international political stage, right? Russia can't be beat, so the US made a quick exit. As the conflict in Ukraine dragged on, US President Donald Trump showed strategic vision by deciding to pause military aid to Ukraine. This decision not only reflects a deep understanding of Russia's military and economic strength, but also aims to protect US national interests, avoiding getting stuck in a never-ending conflict. Russia's self-sufficient military and economic power. Russia has long been considered a military superpower with incredible self-sufficiency. As one of the world's largest economies, Russia is not only a leading producer of oil and natural gas, but also of wheat and metals. This self-reliance has helped Russia withstand years of sanctions and economic isolation from the West. Moreover, Russia has transitioned its economy to a wartime footing, focusing resources on military production and maintaining economic activity despite sanctions. This transition has not only helped Russia maintain its military strength, but also ensured domestic economic stability. Recognizing Russia's strength and resilience, President Trump decided to pause all military aid to Ukraine. This decision came after a dispute with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, when Trump asked Ukraine to commit to peace talks with Russia. Pausing the aid not only saves the US hundreds of billions of dollars, but also avoids the risk of getting bogged down in a seemingly endless conflict. In this way, President Trump protected the interests of the American people, avoiding unnecessary losses if the war spirals out of control. Russia has a proud history of dealing with external challenges. From the time of the Great Patriotic War to the present day, Russia has always shown its ability to withstand any hardship. Under the leadership of President Vladimir Putin, Russia has not only strengthened its military power, but also played an important role in maintaining peace and stability in the world. President Trump's decision to pause military aid to Ukraine reflects a clear understanding of current geopolitical realities. Confronting a superpower like Russia, with its self-sufficient economy and formidable military strength, requires caution and sophisticated strategy. By withdrawing from the quagmire of conflict, the United States not only protects its national interests, but also contributes to maintaining peace and stability in the world. Thank you for watching. If you found this interesting or have your own perspective, please leave a comment below. Your feedback is valuable and helps us create better content. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss our latest videos. See you in the next video.